and welcome into this episode of Craze's Corner. We have a post-week one, things to not overreact to. Always a big issue after week one is people overreacting to everything that we saw. Like, Daniel Jones, terrible. I mean,
Overreact.
that one you can probably
you can bank. Yeah.
But yeah, certain things, people not looking good, trading away. I've seen some things come in. Questions is like, should I trade Jamar Chase for Ladd McConkey? I'm like, no, let's not trade Jamar Chase for Ladd McConkey. So let's just calm down. These are three things that we are not overreacting to. If you want to see three things that we are taking away from week one, you can go check out our other show where we talked about one thing each that we are taking away from week one. So go check that if you haven't already. We got Jeff and Will from media. How are we doing, guys? We had, your team's better than mine, but we had overall fantasy-wise, I think it was good, except for Will's Dynasty team that is in a Superflex league, and he's lacking the quarterback position.
I don't have a starting quarterback. What am I going to do? And I'm not trading the first round pick for Sam Darnold. I'm not doing it. I would
also not do that. I would you're going to have maybe the highest odds to get the number one overall pick if the quarterbacks come out this way, but a couple injuries and you have all the backups, so you'll be fine.
I do. I have almost every backup in the NFL is on my roster.
So you are essentially the Raider playing with Gardner Minshew, who should be the backup. That's who you are.
I have Gardner Minshew's backup, though. Aiden O'Connell, he'll be starting soon because Bryce Young and Deshaun Watson are not it, so I need Aiden O'Connell to get me some snaps coming soon. But yeah,
Deshaun Watson, your lead into this thing?
No, Deshaun Watson is not my lead into this. My lead into this is going to be the Falcons offense. I think we need to not overreact based on what we saw from them against the Steelers, who have had, one of the best defenses in the league for as long as I've been alive. The Steelers have always had a great defense. TJ Watt absolutely took over that game. And this was Kirk Cousins' first game coming off the Achilles injury, which he tore, mid-season last year. So it could take a couple weeks, new offense, to build, those in-game connections. His footwork looked off, which is something that we saw pointed out on Twitter after the game, where normally he would start with his left foot back. And this year he's starting with his feet together. So hopefully he can get his footwork all figured out and they can get into a situation against better. They have one of the weakest strengths of schedules in the league. So they should be able to get this figured out. Don't overreact to Drake London. He only had 2 catches. I think that's okay. We like what we saw from Kyle Pitts. He was like a top 3 tight end in the bleak tight end landscape. So we finally got that out of Kyle Pitts. So my overreaction is just don't give up on Drake London yet is really what I'm trying to say here. I had some guys who I looked at some starting lineups in some leagues, and Alec Pierce is in starting lineups over Drake London at this point. And I'm like, okay, guys, that's a little extreme. Let's take a step back. Drake London will be okay. Jeff, Will, are you guys – I know, Will, you are a Vikings fan. Do you have faith that, this Falcons team can turn around with Kirk?
Look, you can't run Kirk Cousins out of the pistol. I don't understand. They don't understand who they have. And if you look at when he had success with the Vikings, it was under center, play action. Mm-hmm. They have the running back. They have the pieces on the team to run the offense that maximizes Kirk Cousins' strength. So I honestly want to know how much of this commitment is really to Kirk Cousins, because I get they're saying, well, he's in the pistol or the shotgun because of the Achilles. Then at some point you got to make the decision you can't play him, because that's not who he's going to be. He is never going to be a pistol quarterback. And they might as well put Penix in now if they're going to do that.
Penix. Just kidding.
Yeah, he definitely, the pistol is not where we've seen his success. It is under center, and hopefully they can kind of transition to that once. I don't know if they need to feel comfortable with his Achilles or he needs to feel comfortable.
So why would you sign Kirk Cousins? Yep. He is great at play action. Mm-hmm. You have maybe the best running back in the NFL just on talent right now. And you're not running the ball with him to set up the play action to London? This front office and coaching staff, I think, is starting to demonstrate some interesting decision makings in their short tenure there.
Yeah, we got rid of Arthur Smith. Things were supposed to be getting better over there in Atlanta, and apparently not. But Arthur Smith's offense also wasn't able to score any of those touchdown things. They don't exactly know what that is over there. And Cordell Patterson was getting work on all
six field goals.
Yeah, and their kicker was punting too. So the Steelers they don't know what they're doing either. Jeff, what is your thing that you're not overreacting to?
My thing is Derrick Henry. I got a lot of people.
Oh, here it comes.
Oh my gosh, he's slower. Now the news comes out that they're going to kind of monitor his carries and everything. He is going to get the ball when they are within the 5, which seems to be quite a bit. He will be their battering ram. He may be more TD dependent than looking to get big yards, big chunk plays like he used to, but he's still going to be useful, and he's still going to be, I'd say the primary back other than the quarterback is no than Lamar. And I think this was a little bit of an aberration as well, because they were stacking up on the run, and they were also getting in on Lamar. So Lamar had to run. So I don't think it's going to be like that every week. I don't think it's going to be like that this week against the Raiders. So
positive game script will be big there for Henry. I think he'll have multiple touchdown games. Like he'll have 2 touchdown games. I don't think he's going to be rushing for 150 yards a game. Like I don't think that's in his range of outcomes anymore. They said they're going to limit his carries. They want him healthy for the playoffs. Is what the Ravens need. They need him to help them make a push come January. Until then, like Jess says, he's going to get all the touches within the 5. And this is a good offense. If you give them games where they're playing against the Raiders where they can just run the ball because they're up. I think Justice Hill was in that game a lot more. He did have snapped Derrick Henry, but that's because of the passing downs. So I like Henry. He's going to be touchdown dependent in my opinion. But you're still
starting. That's not a bad thing, because we're looking right now. If you look at most of the top running backs, look, you had A-Chain that did somewhat well, but your big running backs were Jordan Mason and J.K. Dobbins. So everybody else was kind of like, I would rather have a guy that I know I'm going to get points on, by being right there by the goal line than putting my cards in some guys where you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and if they're going to monitor his touches, then maybe he won't be injured quite as often, which should help as well.
Look, Harbaugh's not stupid. This is all about November, December, and January. So I think we're having maybe a more honest conversation in the sense of what really is happening. Jeff's right. It's within the 5 yards. He's the battering ram. I think the closer we get to January, then you're going to see the swing up in the carries and getting, because they're going to have to start ramping up his carries closer they get to January anyway to get him ready for that workload for the playoffs. Right. Mm-hmm. So I think like the last, and then at peak playoff time for fantasy, he might be MVP at the end of the season for fantasy.
And then the other thing that people got to realize, it's a new offense, and this line is not set yet. The line was making all kind of mistakes. So, there's things that are going to be fixed, I know, with this team, rather than some other teams to where they just can't be fixed because that's who they are.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that Derrick Henry will be okay. Will, what is your
Giants are dead team walking? Can we call it?
Is that what you're not overreacting to? You're not overreacting.
No, I'm not going to overreact to Marvin Harrison Jr. I just think he's someone that he's a rookie. And look, I think we got kind of spoiled with the rookie wide receivers the last couple of years, and we forget there's usually been historically a transition. So if you got Marvin Harrison, especially in Dynasty or keepers, it's not overreact. Understand it's probably going to take him a few weeks. I think it'll get there. I think it gets there this season. But I think I've seen some people online like, oh, my God, I'd be more worried about Caleb Williams than I am Marvin Harrison Jr.
Now, for this season. Tyler's comments where it's not my job to get him the ball. But Kyler, that is exactly your job, is to get him the ball. He's wide open at the end of the game. I don't know. Maybe we throw him the ball.
Well,
that's your job.
Look, Kyler's, great athlete, great quarterback, but just the ability. But this is the guy they had to put in the contract. You can't play so many hours of video games. So, I've learned to tune out what Kyler says to the world because, he's him. He is who he is. So it is what it is. He'll get there, though. I think it'll build the chemistry there. Yeah. So if you have Harrison, even in a redraft league, keep him. I think it's near the later part of the season. He'll be worth a lot.
Yeah, I think the workload should go up for him as well. The targets will be there. If Kyler's saying it's not my job to get him the ball, the coaches are just going to start drawing up plays for him because he's their outside of James Conner, who is proven he's their best weapon that they need to use. They started the game with like 6 straight plays to James Conner. James Conner will not withstand touching the ball every play. He can barely withstand his previous workloads.
Get Trey Benson.
I will say there's a little reason to be worried just because of the division that they're in against the Niners, and actually the secondary of the Seahawks isn't that bad. So, I'm just saying, yes, don't overreact with this week 1 game, but I would be watching just to see what happens over the next couple of games.
No, I think Marvin Harrison will be fine. I think he'll be able to go up against the best corners in the league.
Yeah.
And with Kyler Murray's scramble ability, like the best corners in the league can shut you down on your first route, but when Kyler's scrambling, they're not shutting you down on the scramble play. It's extremely hard to cover the scramble drill. So I think
we'll see how good the coaching staff is with Kyler. Because to your point, Zach, it was a
coaching
stupid comment.
And Kyler Murray, they don't go together.
Yeah, and so we'll see if the coaching staff is able to get Kyler. Look, dude, it's in your interest to get him the ball.
Yeah.
Otherwise, dude, we got to start talking about how long you're going to be playing.
I wouldn't want Kyler Murray to be my starting quarterback.
You would. Right now, you would.
Oh, well. I thought he was talking about fantasy. You're being about Carolina? I'd probably take him.
I'm like, you might want to rethink that right now.
No, I don't want Kyler Murray in my locker room. We've already got enough issues. We need leaders in our locker room right now.
Does Carolina have an esports team? Because then he could play for both.
Yeah, there you go. There's our 3 things that we are not overreacting to this week. Hope you guys enjoy. Like I said, go check out the show to see what we are taking away from week 1, because there's both sides. Want to make sure you take away certain things and then you don't overreact the other things. So it's extremely important. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks, Jeff and Will, for joining us. We'll see you again next week.
Thanks.